joined for more on this by Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Republican from Illinois, who serves as Deputy House Whip. He's also an Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. Congressman, thank you for being here tonight. Good to have you with us. I mean, obviously, it breaks your heart when you see the picture of this young man, loved by his friends, you know, the life of the party, according to these reports, and extraordinarily dedicated to serving his country. At the age of 25, lost his life. And it makes a lot of people look at our situation and wonder, almost 18 years into this fight now, why we're still there. What do you say to them?
Yeah, look, it's tragic. It's sad. It's awful. But I think what's amazing about all of this is he's 25 years old, and we have young people that today are going to still walk into the Army, the Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy Recruiting Center, still raise their right hand to protect and defend this country, despite the fact this war's been going on a long time. Whether we fight terrorism is not our choice. Where we fight terrorism is. And I would much rather fight the terrorists in Afghanistan, as this brave soldier and these three that lost their lives yesterday did, instead of on the streets here in the United States of America. I wear on my wrist, it's a buddy of mine, Captain Andreas O'Keefe. I flew with him in Iraq in 2008. And he was just killed this year in Iraq. And think about that. Mr. O'Keefe has been in Iraq multiple times over a period of 10 years, at least that I knew him, and he gave his life. But, you know, we have a brave, brave group of people that still protect freedom, and I think it's essential that we put the terrorists on their heels in their home area instead of let them come here, because unless we're willing to convert to their brand, their strict, narrow brand of Islam as a country, they will be determined to kill us, and we have the best fighting force in the world that's going to make sure they don't make it here.
I think that is absolutely the reason that this young man was there. He said he wanted to fight for his country and he wanted to help people overseas. And there has been, certainly a lot of gains with regard to that. We've lost a lot of people recently. 13 U.S. service members have now been killed in Afghanistan in 2018. So, you know, in terms of how we're doing, and the president has just spoken out about this in this new Washington Post interview tonight. And he said, you know, this is not a direct quote, I'm piecing some of it together here. He said, experts have told him that we need to stay there. He went on to say in a separate part of that response, you know, oil is now less of a reason. All of a sudden it gets to a point where maybe you don't have to stay, he said, and the exact quote is up on the screen now. But he says one reason, now are we going to stay in that part of the world? One reason is to stay as Israel. And then he went on to say what I just said, oil's becoming less and less of a reason. So, you know, all of a sudden it gets to a point where you don't have to stay there. What do you say about that?
Well, I want to get to a point where we don't have to stay there. The president was right, especially in the first part, which is we can't leave. And the reason is this. The Taliban have a saying, it's, you know, America has the watches, but we have the time. President Obama, I hate to do whataboutisms, but President Obama, when he claimed that we were going to leave and he put a timeline, he emboldened the Taliban. He emboldened the enemy, because these are people that are fighting a generational war. They knew they just had to outlast us. Sending the message and meeting it, which I think the president is doing now, that we are going to win. We don't get defeated on the battlefield against the Taliban or Al-Qaeda or ISIS or anybody. Where we get defeated is in our will. And it's tragic that we've lost 13 people, and it's awful, but we have the best fighting force that's inflicting significant damage on the enemy and not on ourselves. And the other thing to keep in mind is the Afghan people, we are popular in Afghanistan, and they have stood up and have sacrificed to defend their country. There's a lot of work to do, and I think we're going to be there a while. And I wish at the beginning of this war we'd have spent a little more time setting that table. But if we leave, we will be back, because fighting them is not our choice. It's just where we fight them that is.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger, thank you for your service there, and to these young men and their families. We are thinking about all of them tonight and the extraordinary sacrifice that they have made to help people overseas, as Landro, as he was known, friends say that he would often talk about. So thank you very much.
God bless those families.
Absolutely.